Hmm. Hmm. Hello, Sid. Hi, Peter. How are you?
I'm fine. I am fine.
Sorry, I'm just taking care of some housekeeping here. Hey, Philip's photo, I like it. Look very dapper. Hey, that's false advertising, Philip. Philip. Check, check, check. Can you hear us? Check, check, check. Philip.
Hey Sid, I found it.
Okay.
What can't hear you though?
Can you hear me?
Oh. My bad. My speakers were on.
Welcome,
Philip, can
welcome.
you?
Hi,
Yeah,
Pete.
Tony. Um, you, you know all of the links? There's a tab in the Money Mastery Challenge which says Challenge Calls on top.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, in that each of the calls, all of our calls for the challenge are listed, and if you click on one of them,
Okay.
it shows a meeting link.
Yeah, I'm sure you told me that last week. Sorry, I will remember it next week.
No, no problem.
Sorry, Sid, did you want to speak to me? My microphone wasn't working for a
I
minute there.
wanted to call you out for false advertising.
Say again? Or?
I wanted to call you out for false advertising.
All right, okay. What did I do?
Because your Zoom picture is so dapper. It's looked like it's from 5 years ago. And Philip's looking good. And then Philip shows up. I was like,
That has to be done the way it is because it is for my business. So I have looked dapper. And that
I,
was actually taken a few days ago.
my picture is from 5 years ago. So,
Was it? Really? Really? Okie dokie, guys. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your team call is? It's right here. Welcome to the
I don't know if
fourth
any,
week.
I don't know if many people know that reference. But
Ah,
do you know where your children are?
yeah. Yeah, we could modify that. Do you know where your leaders are? I don't know. Anyway, welcome to the fourth week of the Integration Nation Money Mastery Challenge. We're almost halfway through the 8 weeks of the course. So I wanted to check in with you to know how the process is going and if the content is useful. If you have any suggestions or requests, I think maybe do that offline, but we could have a little bit of that. I just kind of want to hear what's up for people and if you've had any breakthroughs, any insights, any payoffs. Um, Go ahead and raise your hand or just speak up. Looks like Sid has probably muted almost everybody. Hi, Philip. Hi, Peter. Great to see you
Thank
every
you.
week. So after that big high with the sales last month, I don't know what's happening this month. It's going very slow compared to last month, and I'm starting to panic. Will I be making a similar sort of money like last month, or was it a fluke and all kinds of imposter syndrome stuff around my capability, my ability to make money, continue the momentum? So I am on a bit of a shaky ground, but I think I just got to hang in there and trust that I am good enough. But yeah, I've been through a bit of a roller coaster since we last spoke. I want you to know that you're not alone. I speak from experience. it's definitely been a roller coaster. There's been some really great highs mixed in
Mm.
with some like what kind of lows. Um, Something intuitively came to my mind as you were speaking. And speaking of speaking, I'm thinking about a lesson that I learned in doing presentations because I used to be very nervous about that. And I was a musician as well, even earlier in my life, and was always quite nervous about doing a good job. And I think one way to escape from that squirrel cage, if you will, is to focus on others and what we're contributing. That gets us in touch with our purpose, our passion, and somehow just takes the pressure off of who we're being. We're not really equipped to even know who we're being. Sometimes people give us feedback, years later that we've had an impact on their lives. But I wonder if it might help to focus on your mission and what you're contributing rather than are you good enough? Because there's no answer to that question, right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
of course you are.
Thanks, Peter. Thank you.
Blessings. I'm going to get my magic wand out here.
Yes, thank you.
And then you can hit me over the head with it. Benny, welcome. Benny is muted.
All right, sorry about that.
No problem.
Yesterday, I finally went to see a financial advisor. The organization where I dumped my 401k money on, and I'm probably gonna start getting the ball rolling and really have a specific plan for retirement, which is uh, hopefully less than 3 years away for me. So it's
That's
not enough to just keep dumping money into 401k. I need to get some really definitive plans going.
there's some great tools that we have as professionals, or most of us do. Um, the other tools online are decent, but it's nice to get a professional
Yes.
opinion and a blessing on it. Report back to us next week how that goes. How if you get the plan, whenever you get a plan, how does it look?
Okay. All right.
Maybe you're already set. It's great when you find out you could walk away anytime. So good for you.
Mhm.
Marcus,
Yeah, hi Peter.
good morning.
Hi. So what happened was actually, I don't know if you remember, I was on, so the first call I was on, I had just continued, I'd just done a extension with a contract for contracts. I've been working as a consultant for 4 years. I don't like it at all. So I was really feeling like physically sick and kind of depressed. So after that call, actually, I just sat down and kind of meditated. And after a while, I was thinking about sort of a track that I've been thinking about that I wanted to do for maybe 1 year, but I haven't sort of looked into it. Sat down for like 15, 20 minutes, found a training it's about 10 days training. Um, Signed up for that, and that's starting on Monday, and I feel really excited about it. Um, in terms of money, I've been thinking about because this is a semi-qualified job. And what I do now is actually more of a qualified job. So I've been kind of battling that thought, saying, "Hey, am I selling myself short?" But on the other hand, do I want to continue being depressed in a job where I earn more? So it's that sort of old conflict. Uh, but definitely I feel psyched about the training and I guess my career and my life as well. So yeah, just wanted to share that. Appreciate it. Thanks.
That's fantastic. Definitely, we're taught to ignore our feelings sometimes and just power through stuff, but our feelings are a great dashboard directing us, and they have little warning lights and things that go on. So I'm kind of curious, what course did you sign up for that starts on Monday?
Well, I guess it translates to English like a security guard, so to protect both civilian and military objects. And I'm studying already at the Defense University, but that's going to take 2 to 4 years before I get a more qualified job within that field. And this is sort of a short-term, semi-qualified, if you could say that, job that feels more exciting than just sitting in front of the computer all day. So.
Yeah, that's safe, but not very helpful sometimes. I think there will be parts of today's conversation that will be directly applicable to you and to finding your renewed strength and wind beneath your wings. So thanks for sharing. Ash,
Thanks.
would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, for sure. Peter, thanks for all those answers which you gave last time. Because I went back onto YouTube and heard it back again. It was pretty succinct. So the action steps which I took was I went to my CPA and asked him to give me my last 3 comparative.
Ash, we can't hear you very well.
I went to my CPA and I asked him to get me the comparisons for the last 3 years just to analyze how my flow of income is coming in and what my deductions are and all that stuff. That's the one step which really incited. And then I made an appointment with my CFO, just to see how I can go this year's tax strategy, what to go about. Like what options do I have? Do I have anything else new going on besides what I do regularly as retirements and all that stuff? That ball is started, so that's what's going on. And with that, I'm in. Thank you so much, Peter, for all this.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for your wholehearted participation. I'm getting excited with the steps that you guys are taking. Maybe they're just one step on a longer road, but opening up new vistas, seeing things new ways, meeting new people. It's definitely really cool. So I will begin today's conversation. I'm going to share my screen. I think I'm getting the hang of this as we go. I'm going to share my sound. Share my PowerPoint screen here. Click on all my dialog boxes and whatnot. So 4th session. Today, if this changes to the next screen. There we go. Today, we're talking about developing a mindset of resourcefulness and purpose. People talk about the importance of persistence and grit quite a lot. And I agree, those things are fantastic traits to have. But people don't talk about what the hell we do when we get walloped, when we're overwhelmed, when we're stuck, when we've had a real big disappointment that kind of puts doubt into our minds about the world and about ourselves. So what do we do when we hit a rough spot? How do we stay resourceful and on purpose? So sometimes resourcefulness is about adaptability and creativity. So those things are being able to think on our feet, to be observant, to think outside the box, to have hope so that we're able to go down those paths of thinking. And we're going to talk quite a bit about both of these today. Personally, I'm sure I'm not alone, but I get into loops where I'm worrying about the future. It just doesn't sometimes look possible. And I've been through 2 or 3 of those cycles, as we talked about last time we go through these cycles a few times in our lives. And this time around, in my concerns about money, that's out of my control, by the way. I have this lawsuit going on. What gave me great comfort was realizing that I'm really resourceful. And I'm constantly creating stuff. I'm constantly finding answers, helping other people find answers. And I think my faith in my own resourcefulness has given me a lot of peace of mind about the future. So I declare that I am resourceful. And I think that's helpful in keeping our energy up and our hopes up and ourselves in action. There's a story online recently about there's a woman talking about her mother. She said her mother just did everything around the house, no father around, could fix anything, figure anything out. And she said, Mom, how did you ever get like this? You're really quite unusual. Well, the mother said, everything is figure outable. So when we get there, we can look at the situation, size it up, and find a way to deal with it. It's kind of like being a handyman. I'm sure most of us have done some work around the house and found clever solutions to things that we are facing. So having the confidence that we're resourceful and that things can be figured out, those kinds of belief systems allow us to keep going. So I noticed in my own life there are several turning points, experiences I had that shaped my own resourcefulness. Thinking about a time as a kid, I was staying at a friend's house, and somehow or another, he had, I don't remember if it was a light or a train set, something electronic. And I figured out how to put buttons next to each of the two beds in the room where I was staying, where either one of us could turn on the light or the train set, whatever it was. And I thought, that's pretty clever. And I realized that was one of the times that led me to experience the joy of figuring something out and that I could do that. It really kind of surprised me. So anybody have any thing that you'd like to share about challenges that have helped you uh, realize that you were resourceful and maybe develop the skills? See.
I got a small anecdote. Friday evening, I picked up my mails. So since you said it's the lawyer situation and all that stuff, I got an attorney letter saying we think this is possible you and all that stuff. Then the funny part is I was so panicked when I first went in and read the initial part. It's like somebody's trying to punch your face kind of a thing. And then towards the end, it says, at this point, there's no action at this point is needed. And when I went and talked to my manager, they were like, this sounds like a total fake message. So I just was like, okay, let me calm down, talk to the manager and see what the hell is going on. So that was like kind of like I was resourcefully centering myself, not to get panicky about what the hell is going on, because it sounded like somebody's trying to sue me. So when you said lawyers, that's what came to my mind.
Yeah, the whole lawsuit lawyer thing is a discussion unto itself, but that's good. We have to kind of manage our emotions and a number of ways to do it. And talking to other people is one of the important points I wanted to make today. Sid, you've got something, you've got your hand raised.
Yeah, I mean, in response to your question, I don't know if crises as such have helped me discover resourcefulness, but I think just weird curiosities have, and I think I have like a pretty unique combination of skills, which by themselves are not exceptional, but together they form a valuable, unique combination. And when I think of them, like they just got built along the way almost accidentally, just because I was curious about weird things. And I've realized like I thought they were just so pedestrian that it never occurred to me. They seem very obvious, but I'm leaning a lot these days into, obvious to you, amazing to everyone else.
Hmm.
And I'm finding a lot of my resourcefulness has come from just being weird.
I love that. Yeah, just outside of the box, Um, let's see, we got, I think Mike is up.
Yeah, thanks. No, just about like resourcefulness and this is not from today, but about 5 years ago, I realized I knew nothing about finance. I knew nothing about, and I was living in different countries and not really having the ability to put like a 401k together or, I'm Canadian, so we had like the equivalent, like an RRSP, and none of that stuff worked for me because I kept traveling from country to country to country. And the way that I got paid, there was no real contribution. So I, I actually had I'm going to say the fortune of being scammed by a financial advisor who was a snake, but probably the best $2,000 I ever lost because I realized the guy was shady and I took, my finances and I said, look, I'll learn stock trading on my own. And I just, I went from nothing to not knowing how to open a brokerage account to not knowing what a symbol was and what a stop loss was and what a limit order and just every day just like cracking the nut and cracking the nut and cracking the nut. And and then you realize, then I golf with some guys that are like traders for 20 years at like Barclays and other banks. And I go like, you do what? Right. And I'm giving them advice. And it's just like it's amazing what you can learn if you put your mind to it and you're humble and you just keep every day showing up. Like what I know today, like I was literally tearing apart a whole guy's strategy who worked at a bank for 25 years. And he was asking me for advice and I was sending him some technical analysis and I went from like not knowing how to open a brokerage account and not even knowing how to put on a trade. So I think, it's really that those challenges of being, financially illiterate. I was really good at technology, really good at other things in my life, but sucked in this area. And I feel like I suck less.
A lot less. I think you're in positive territory. That's really a great story. Thank you for sharing that. Um, I started to work on a book several years ago about turning points in my clients' lives where they had hit some kind of a realization and made changes in their financial life and had it turn out well. And it sounds like you turned the lemon into lemonade on that one big time. Inspiring. And yes, we all have something to contribute. And it's a big world, and money's a big world. So, Philip, we'll take your question, then we'll move on.
Really share on the slides. I don't really have a question. It's just uh, made me think how resourceful I have been for my life, probably from being a child. Although
Mhm.
my parents were present, they did the material things. They weren't really clued up on what was required. So I think I started being resourceful from a very early age, and how I got into the film business here in the UK and in Hollywood, that is a whole other story. I mean, there is no job application you fill out for getting into stuff like that. And then even in the latest business I just started, Ari would know enough about it. Siddharth would as well, because we've discussed it. It's been 6 months of calibrating and persevering and things to get where I got. Yeah. But what I realize is the more resourceful I get, the inner critic gets even more demanding of me. So there is never enough resourcefulness or never good enough. Because the inner critic now puts the next peak in front of me to climb. So there's always that doubting that the inner critic does in my head, although I am much more resourceful than a lot of people out there. With that, I mean,
Thanks, Philip. I can relate to all of that. Definitely the higher mountain in front of us. Like, how, how can I get better at foreseeing certain things that I am not tuned into? Um, Learning at a rapid rate at my delicate age. So I realized too that travel has been one of the big things that sort of subconsciously raised my own sense of efficacy and being able to handle things creatively, dealing with people with different languages and finding, food, shelter, fixing things on the RV, being out of our normal element. I think that's one of the real benefits of travel is developing resourcefulness or realizing that we have that in us. And of course, the famous vision quest, which is all about that kind of thing and being just with ourselves and with our environment in a very raw sort of way. So let's talk about purpose a little bit. Um, Purpose is that sense of meaning or direction in our lives. And it's necessary to give us the energy. It's like the motor that we need to move forward. It certainly gets me out of bed in the morning thinking about how I can help others. So just maybe there's a way to raise hands or something just to indicate that you know your purpose or you don't. I don't know. Maybe Sid knows some way to do it in Zoom.
Uh, yeah, I think everyone does. Just click on react and get your hand up.
Okay, I count myself in there. It looks like we've got 5 and then we've got 6. So a lot of you guys are in touch with what your purpose is, which is an amazing journey unto itself. It took quite a while for mine to unfold. And it's interesting how where I was forced to actually pointed me in the direction of my purpose. So since you guys already have that, and you could put your hands back down if you can. Um, I don't know if I want to spend a lot of time looking backwards, but I think the whole process of finding our purpose is really unique. Maybe one of you would like to share how you found your purpose to get us back in touch with that discovery process. Okay, that's fine.
I can just maybe briefly touch on it. I don't want to take up too much time, Peter, but my father's passing 2 years ago made me realize the trauma that I inherited. My purpose is to break the intergenerational cycle of trauma. That is 7 generations, especially with the men in my ancestry. And I realized that when I got diagnosed with ADHD and my father passing away soon after, and I had to introspect and go through a lot of grieving, that's when my purpose actually crystallized. And a lot of it has to do with financial trauma, the intergenerational near misses, missing out or losing. So it's kind of how I got clarity of mind.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the main ways that we find our purpose is to be up against something that's a real challenge and thinking, gosh, I'm sure I'm not the only one how can we help people with this issue? Certainly, that's how I found mine. Sometimes it's the elders, speaking of the intergenerational, that help us identify gifts that we have. That's an ideal role for a parent or an auntie or an uncle, because each person has their own distinct view of life, and they'll see things other people don't see. This is like really obvious to me, but not to others. So, want to talk about self-care and renewal, leading us to having the wherewithal to build resourcefulness and purpose. So it's pretty obvious, I think, on the face of it, that we need physical energy to carry out our tasks and to take care of our lives, the everyday living stuff. We need emotional resilience, and that's an ongoing learning area for most of us. And we need mental energy. My work is really, really demanding cognitively, and my little brain gets so tired, and it feels like my whole body's tired, but sometimes it's just my brain. So keeping those things going and healthy and renewing our energy and resources is essential. And the word wealth actually comes from the word Old English word for well-being. So I would say these are all well-being and fertile soil to move our finances and our wealth forward. So one way to regenerate our spirit and energy is to engage with nature, which helps us quiet our minds. We have to tune into the environment more, so we start to observe dynamics and patterns and interruptions to those patterns and so on, and basically come to our senses and get out of our heads. So it leads to mindfulness, observing language, bird language and animal behavior, which a lot of us don't think about it, but animals are watching us all the time too, and they're reacting to us. So it can be very subtle. So it invites us in with curiosity and quiet mind, and that leads to curiosity and openness. So that's getting back to being creative. I don't know if you guys have any experiences with nature that are particularly um, engaging or interesting, where you found renewal. And that's okay. I think we want to keep moving anyway. Tony, did you want to share something?
Yeah, actually, and it's a quick one. It's a very simple and obvious one. I have a big oak tree in my front yard, and the last week or two, I've been observing the squirrels. Very busy. They're hardworking beings, and they're gathering up their acorns and they're putting them away. It's a lesson in hard work and saving.
But do they invest though? That's what
Well, if I find out they do, I'll give them your number.
Oh man. Well, you got to talk to my dog because she either thinks squirrels are evil or she thinks they're meant to be chased. I'm not sure, but she doesn't appreciate them properly. Um,
Another thing is if you don't fix your finances, you'll be sleeping in nature.
no, okay. Or if you really are enlightened, you'll be sleeping in nature.
That's true.
And we don't have to go far to see nature. It's all around. Even if you're in a city like New York, there's birds, there's clouds, there's stuff going on. And a really perceptive person can tune into those things and have insights that you wouldn't even dream of. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with Tom Brown Jr. and Tractor School, but that's a world. So nature is one resource that we have that's a very powerful. And another one for me is human connection, which of course takes lots of different forms. And it's nice to have family, it's nice to have friends, but I find that just connecting with random people and lifting their spirits in some way or joking with them. Um, I used to be very shy, and now I can't shut up. I keep reaching out and talking to folks. And we're part of a healthy community here, which is an incredibly important thing. The emotional sense of security that there's a place you can go or to be heard and to see examples and to learn from others, just huge, huge, huge. Finding a mentor or a mentor finding you or us, also something that can be life-changing. And that hardest of all things, asking for help. Um, my father used to say, people will help you if you're willing to help yourself. And I think that's so true. So these are things that help us be resilient, renew our energy, gain clarity, get a sense that we're okay. We're part of something. We're not doing this alone. So anybody want to speak to that? How human connection invigorates you or helps you find peace? Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always trying to connect with people, and like sometimes just talking your own problems out to somebody, you solve your own problems, right? Or you hear people say, I went through that, or it's not as, or have you tried this? Like I'm in South Africa right now, and I launched a business here through a lot of adversity during COVID, whatever. And basically everybody that helped me was golf friends, right? Like I was on the golf course and I was bitching about like the South African IRS or whatever. And there was always someone that says, I know a guy who knows a guy who and there was not a problem that I did not solve here through basically like connecting with with a community, talking to random people, bitching in public, and someone just said, "Hey, I know a guy who knows a guy who can help you." And it's helped me tremendously. Just like how many strangers and friends have just by talking and connecting.
It's a wonderful story to hear. Good reminder that, yeah, even strangers, one of the biggest decisions I ever made, which I won't go into, uh, really was catalyzed by talking to somebody in the freezer section of the 7-Eleven somewhere out in Colorado when I stopped to get, I don't know, food or something. It was so random, but he hit the nail on the head about my life decision that was coming up. So we just kind of need it. And it's too bad that so many people, in essence, have given up or go into hibernation, solitude, when reaching out would be so much healthier. So I listed a few things that have helped me become a more powerful person, and they're worth kind of reflecting on. This one's pretty recent for me. I used to try to avoid problems. Give a presentation. Is your technology going to work? Oh, I've had such amazing shit happen over the years. And it just finally got through my thick head. It's not personal. It just happens. Life is usually not smooth. So why worry about it? It's just we're all humans. We're doing most of us hopefully are doing the best we can. But yeah, it's not a problem. It's just, oh, okay, that happened. That's one of my favorites. Is when, say, I'm giving a presentation and something goes wrong, it's like, okay, there it is. Another one I heard somebody talking about recently, that he got through a period of suicidal thoughts and deep depression just by getting up every day, getting out of bed, taking a step. And those little steps add up like crazy. And some people have the sense that they already have the answers. Hey, I went to college. That was enough learning for me. I'm done. And there are other people who are always learning, always growing, always finding new connections. And that creativity is an essential piece of that. Curiosity, having that attitude of curiosity is so important. I think we're born with those kinds of things unless we're shut down. That goes kind of hand in hand with, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the study that they took students and they asked them if they thought they were intuitive or not. I believe that was it. I should have looked this up before the call, but then they gave them tests on things that they didn't, subjects they didn't know about or hadn't studied. And the people who thought they were intuitive did better on the tests than you would expect through random chance. And the people who said they weren't intuitive did worse than random chance. So having this attitude of either being lucky, being resourceful, what we believe about ourselves manifests in our lives. And that goes with being a lifelong learner, where it's an attitude of, yeah, I'm I'm a lifelong learner, or I love to learn. And keep pushing at the growing edge. About 30 years ago, I dealt with anxiety to the point where I wouldn't go more than a couple of miles away from home. Uh, won't go into all the pathology of that, but it was anxiety that was getting the better of me, and my world was getting smaller. And I just pushed back against that. I said, this is not going to end well. I'm going to be locked in my house. So I started to push on the edges a little bit and expand my world. And I went from not wanting to go more than 2 miles away from home to being way up in the trees in the jungle in Ecuador, in the rainforest there. Uh, little bits of taking new ground every day, bit by bit, adds up. And I realized too through that that everybody is dealing with this edge where they're comfortable inside of it and outside of it they're not, and it's either growing or it's shrinking. Um, and we go back and forth. Sometimes right after the earthquake here, everybody had anxiety. Nobody wanted to stop under a bridge on the freeway or anything. I mean, the San Francisco area. So just important to keep doing things that make us a little bit uncomfortable, not totally out of control, but keeping the growing edge going, which gives us a sense of power and agency. Um, so I'm open and would love to hear if you guys have looking at different messages here. Wonder if you guys have any power strategies that have served you in your life or that you've become aware of recently. Hello, Ari.
I one of my biggest ones is just recognizing your wins every day
Mm-hmm.
and um you know getting something out of every experience you've had. Um, you know, not viewing any experience as a trauma or a wound, but something that you can learn from or be grateful for.
Gratitude.
Yeah, gratitude is part of that too.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I don't think we can be happy if we don't experience some gratitude or create it. Um, yeah, it's so central. And I'm still working on viewing everything that happens to me as either good or a learning experience. But I think it's a great way to hold things, a great way to hold things so we don't get stuck. Philip, you get your hand up.
Yeah, I think it's just an extension of what Ari just said and what you said, Peter. Something I picked up from the conscious leadership challenge that Sid did. Everything is happening for me, not to me or by me. As in, the universe is my ally, and everything's actually happening for me. So that's something I've been practicing for the last 7, 8 weeks or so, and it definitely something that keeps me going, even when the shit is happening, like you said.
Thank you for the represencing that because I just absorbed it. Of course, I've heard it, I've reflected on it, but it's just great to hear it again. Marcus.
Yeah, one of many things that I've learned from Robert is I don't know if I think it's from Robert, but anyway, if something happens, like someone lashes out on me, or really sort of trigger situation, maybe I'm in a meeting where I'm being sort of pushed against the wall or something, to say to myself, I can handle it. Before I answer, before I do anything else, I just say that quote to myself, I can handle it. And that stops me from going into this sort of reactive, trigger panicky mode. Yeah, it just automatically, it sort of stops all that, adrenaline and cortisol from just, flowing freely, and it just sort of stops. So that's helped me tremendously. It's like I just programmed myself. So that comes automatically. So I think that's pretty cool. Thanks.
That's a great one too. As we walk through the door to go into a meeting or we get home or whatever, a little reminder, represencing it, getting into that frame of mind, and really context. We're setting context for ourselves, which is all powerful. Ash.
Yeah.
Peter, I've got a question. I think it's coming down to, I think abundance again around money and wealth. I think that's what that was the reason I signed up for this course. So gratitude seems to be a big pillar, which pulls the weight. Do you have any other ways we can kind of like get this growth mindset and abundance mindset around money?
Oh, a good point to raise because I've been dancing around it, but I haven't explicitly tied it together. All of the things I'm talking about today about resourcefulness and purpose are working on different parts of ourselves that complement and are necessary to develop strength in our areas of finance. I think you really can only build so high if the ground isn't really suited for it. And this is part of the groundwork that feeds into confidence, that feeds into creativity, that feeds into seeing opportunity, that feeds into confidence, and the curiosity and the energy to go out and figure things out. Next week, we're going to be talking about entrepreneurialism. And that really applies to everybody. You don't have to have your own business. But it's being able to care for ourselves and stay engaged. So this stuff sounds like it may not be directly related to money, but it's actually the ground from which money and abundance can be created, if that's helpful. I don't know if that answers your question, though. So restate your question if you want, and I'll see if I can get more to it, to the point.
Yes, Peter, I think, let me ask that question again. So my question is, building wealth is most like an important big part of that is your mindset around money and wealth. Gratitude seems to be a huge pillar which holds that, like being thankful to what you already have opens up a lot of abundance into your heart. Do you have anything else in your long career and research around wealth and money, like big things like gratitude, which really open the lock of wealth?
Hmm. I think something that I do that I have not put into words before is I don't put limits on money. So number one, I let it into my life because I don't think about greed or scarcity as being the truth, or even important in my calculation. I see money as something that I can learn, and I'm not averse at all to changing my thinking about it or changing the scope. Um, my my thinking this year has changed with this additional requirement to pay my lawyers in this lawsuit I've been caught up in. So I'm scaling up my sense of what is possible for me with money really dramatically. Actually, I need to kind of double my income to handle this. And I I take the attitude that of course it's possible to do it. It's how? It's just, but I'm keeping my mind open to that. Don't put limits on it. And I use all my resourcefulness too in terms of saving money and time, and it challenges me physically and emotionally and mentally to stay on the straight and narrow path because I have to be really productive and do a lot of new things, learn a lot of new things. So I don't know if that's helpful, but I don't place limits on money and I don't place limits on my own capabilities.
That's pretty cool. I like that, Peter. You're kind of like already thinking of no limits on yourself and also on the money which can enter into your world, which is probably a belief which we have where we'll be like pushing it away kind of from you. I think I really appreciate that.
Yeah, scarcity versus abundance. And also not judging money as bad or really worrying about what other people have. It's just, am I moving in the direction I need to move in? Uh, in a way, it's a challenge that's kind of fun. I have a friend who's a longtime mentor and a financial planner, and his motto is uh, he speaks it to the universe. He says, "Yes, thank you." So gratitude and letting it in. But this abundance thing we're going to get into in just a second. Ari, you've got your hand raised.
Ash's question and your comment about not putting limits on money, um, I think that was helpful. And I was thinking about a question you had asked like 2 sessions ago about your future self with money,
Mm-hmm.
which was, something that I've been thinking about a lot is just my future self envisioning. I don't know if we talked about that as a group, what people came up with. And I was curious about what your future self with money is, Peter. So I don't know if we have time for that today, but I think that would be helpful to hear what people came up with.
Are you guys up for putting that into chat during the week? Because we're kind of getting toward the end. I think that would be awesome to talk about. And I think it would help me tie up kind of a loose end. I have a direction I'm headed in, but I have no image of the clear image of what it looks like when I get there. And everything about manifestation hinges on having that vision of the future, which can be very powerful. So let's make that our intention this week, and I'll make sure that I'm in there watching the conversation.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. So here's scarcity and abundance. Gee, I don't think Dr. Glover talks about this very much. I say that tongue in cheek. So a scarcity mindset, gee, money's hard to get. People don't really have any. I don't want to take it from them. I'm involved with a professional group where we train other professionals, lawyers, psychologists, financial planners. And the darn group gets into a conversation about should we cover the $6 parking fee for them? I'm thinking, you guys are so into scarcity. It's no wonder the group doesn't have enough money. It's just so obvious to me. So a scarcity mindset comes from emotional and intellectual beliefs about lack, fear, insecurity, and it leads us as men to believe there aren't enough, that we're not enough, or that resources aren't available. It could be love, could be success. And it can cause us to act out of fear, to hoard resources, avoid risks, and feel competitive in unhealthy ways. I mean, that's a lot of bad shit that we don't want to go into. Um, so the scarcity mindset doesn't really serve us very well, but most of us have been indoctrinated and taught that one way or another through people's fear or action around us. The abundance mindset says there is enough for everyone in money, love, success, opportunities. And we grow that abundance mindset by challenging our limiting beliefs, being open to taking risks, reasonable risks, embracing personal growth. That's what, No More Mr. Nice Guy is all about. When we shift to an abundance mentality, we tend to act with more confidence, generosity, and authenticity, which in turn improves the relationships, careers, and happiness. So, absolutely important. And you guys have all heard about that age-old question, is the glass half full or half empty? Right? I remember my father saying that he saw it as half empty. And I kind of felt sad for him, but I just sort of assumed that people see it the way they see it. It's just sort of part of their personality. But here was a guy who was an engineer working on the spy satellites, graduate of MIT, the Naval Academy. Amazing, amazing guy. And yet he did not realize that that question about whether the glass is half full or half empty is not about the fact of it being half full or half empty. It's about when you have a choice, which are you going to choose to believe? Are you going to choose a scarcity mindset or an abundance mindset? And I don't think he was thinking about it on this level, but he chose the scarcity mindset. It wasn't the truth, it was the world he created. And it carried over to the rest of his life. Such a wonderful man, long gone. I'm blessed to have had him as a dad. I wish he had been a happier guy. Benny?
Yeah, I have a question about this scarcity versus abundance. What if you say on a glass with water on it, you said, what if I say that the glass has 4 ounces of water in an 8 ounce glass? What if I say that instead? What does that convey?
My immediate reaction is that conveys that you are removing yourself from the emotional side of this and putting yourself into the factual, measurable, uh, the truth of the matter, that you're seeing some water and some air and just describing it uh, accurately. So I think that gets you up out of the emotional brain and into the prefrontal cortex, and rationality can come back into play at that point. It's my take on it. I don't know if that's helpful.
It is.
It's just one man's observation. Interesting. Ash, we're at 11 o'clock too, so we'll wrap
I'll
it.
be quick, Peter. I won't take a lot of time.
Okay.
I had to crack because this is getting really intense for me. So whenever I'm like in a very high plane of intellectual masturbation, I usually crack out into humor. So when you ask the question, when it's half full or half, first thing which came to my mind was it depends upon what's in the glass. It is vodka martini or is it water? That's what the first thing came into my mind. And after hearing Benny, I thought it was funny. He was measuring the glass, how many ounces it was. I think he's very calculated in his life. That's probably what I thought in my mind. Just my 2 cents. So for me, it was a martini. It depends upon it's martini or water in the glass. So yeah.
I love it. So you're thinking outside the glass. Very good, so to speak. Ash. No, okay. Onwards. Oh, that's right. The hand still shows afterwards. I have an article I'm going to pop into our chat, and this is a saying that came to me. Abundance is waiting for us to say yes to receiving. So this is an article about resourcefulness and methods that we touched on but didn't really follow exactly today. Let's see if I can put that in there. Can't put a docx file in there. How do you like that? That happened before. So I will post it online. So making your making it more worthwhile and valuable to visit the online chat. Last time, by the way, we put in 3 articles and uploaded the video from the conversation. So we'll do that this week as well. I also have a self-evaluation that I put online, made it out of Google Forms, like a little survey, and we could share those next time if you guys go visit it. This is the URL, tinyurl.com/self-care-evaluation. You might want to save that link or make a note of it, kind of a self-assessment on how you're doing. in taking care of yourself and building up the resources and ammunition, if you will, to go and conquer this territory. Oh, so David, are you saying that you can't get into the Integration Nation website without a Google account?
Yeah, I just tried the link and it asked me to log in with a Google account.
Sid, do you have any thoughts on that? Any experience?
I'm sorry, I am having trouble hearing you. I think I have some latency on my side.
I'll tell you what, I'll send these things out to at least you, David.
Can you repeat, please?
By email, if I'm sure I can figure out a way to do it. But we'll post them online too, or email me if you want to. Atomic Habits is a good book. Also, I'm using chatbots up the wazoo to be creative and to expand my perspective and to see things in new ways. So again, if you email me here, whoops, back, then I will send what these messages are trying to tell me. So email me if you'd like me to email you the link to the survey and send the article on resourcefulness. Otherwise,
Okay.
they will go up in the site.
Yeah, just post it on the timeline.
Will do. So that's a wrap for this week. Don't have a particular challenge this week, but I did notice there's a new course coming up, a new challenge on Integration Nation about developing a side hustle. And I think I might sign up for that because I'm on the verge of doing it, but I need that extra push of community to help me stay on track. So check that out. I don't know when it starts, and I didn't have a chance to ask Sid. So thank you so much, all. Email me with questions, comments, requests, anything on your mind. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Peace out. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Peter.